Here's to whiskey kisses with peachy taste of sin.
Good evening, whiskey folk, or should I say tonight, gin folk, because today Drinking Out Loud is doing something a little different. Today we are exploring the wonderful world of local craft gins. Now, for those of you who are joining us on this channel who aren't members of the Dram Association, you might be wondering, local to where, Adam? Where are you? Well, we are in Victoria, British Columbia on Vancouver Island, and we have an assortment of world-class distilleries right here on our doorstep. More than I could possibly name right now, because there's probably been more that have started in the last couple of months that I don't even know exist yet. But we have so many distilleries on this island that it's frankly getting a bit nuts. But today I'm going to be exploring 6 of those distilleries, and I'm going to have some gin. I'm very much looking forward to it. So for those of you who are regulars for the Dram Association Drinking Out Loud videos, you will know that I always have a starting dram. I'm usually drinking whiskey, of course. This time, I feel like I should be a responsible adult, and instead of a starting dram, because I'm about to have 6 different gins, I figured a glass of water is a good thing to have. I normally have a glass of water sat right here. It's mostly a prop. I don't think I've ever actually had a sip of it yet, although I probably should. It is good to stay hydrated. But I'm going to make a concerted effort this time, because I'm about to have 6 gins, to drink some water. So, slash of R. So I make no claim at all to be a gin expert. On that matter, I don't really make any claims to be a whiskey expert, although I have far more experience with whiskey than I do gin. To me, gin is something I've always enjoyed, but it's not necessarily something I've paid that much attention to. Gin is something that is just frankly delicious. It's something that I don't sit and think about what I'm drinking. I sit and just enjoy it. So I'm going to try and not do that today. I'm going to try and actually think about what I'm drinking. I'm going to try and speak with you guys about what I'm experiencing, but I'm also going to try and tell you a little bit about all of these distilleries. And obviously, for those of you who are watching this, as it debuts in the live chat, hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Grab yourself a gin. But for those of you who are watching this within the week or month that it comes out, you'll probably know the world is in a bit of a strange spot right now, and now more than ever, it is so important to support local. And we've been encouraging everyone, of course, to support local by shopping at the Strath and supporting our family-owned business, but also it's equally as important not only to support the local merchants, the local stores, but the local producers. So all 6 of these gins are made right here on Vancouver Island by small independent companies using local products, local produce. And yeah, let's make a concerted effort now more than ever to support the local guys. And with gin, I don't think it's as important with gin as it is with whiskey to have a specific order. So with the theme being on supporting local here, that's just the order I've chosen. I decided to try out these 6 gins in the order of how far away they are from the Strath. So you can't get that much more local to the Strath than Phillips. Phillips, of course, is just a modern legend in the local brewing scene. Their beer, I think it hit the markets in 2001 when they started. Matt Phillips, of course, the founder. Actually, Matt apparently started Phillips with pretty much no financial aid from banks. He was trying to get loans at the time. Of course, craft beer wasn't really a thing in 2001. The banks weren't willing to take that risky of an investment. So he just took out a crap ton of credit card loans and maxed them all out and started a brewery. And as mad as that sounds, it seems to have turned out all right, because these days Phillips is just a powerhouse. They're an institution here in Victoria. At the Strathale and Spirit Merchants, of course, we carry a lot of Phillips beers. But of course, we're part of the Strathcona Hotel complex with the Sticky Wicket. And the Sticky Wicket, I don't think... I couldn't possibly... I know it existed, but I couldn't possibly imagine the Sticky Wicket without Blue Book. Blue Book is the beer. As much as, yes, we get a lot of Blue Book drinkers, and yes, Big Bad John's is all about the triple X or the 5X now as well. We're a Blue Book place. We are. Like, that we like to support local, and I'm not just saying the business likes to support local, of course we do, but the customers do as well. And they've time and time again said, we cannot possibly have a bar without Blue Book. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think every single bar that has beer taps in the Strathcona Hotel has a Blue Book tap. And all of the other taps are completely different. Like, I mean, you think of the basic taps. We don't, like, there are rooms in the Strath where you cannot get a Guinness. But of course you can get a Blue Book. Like, even in the smallest room, the Maple Room, of course there's Blue Book on tap. And Phillips is just that synonymous with culture here in Victoria. I mean, they are one with the community. They have the Backyarder events, these massive music events. They sponsor multiple other music events throughout the year. And they're quintessential. They really are. One thing in my sort of relatively early time here, it's actually probably not that early. I can't actually remember how long I've been in Victoria. I think I arrived in 2015. It's all been a bit of a blur. But they had a beer called I don't know how to pronounce it properly. It's either Levi Drome or Levy Drome. And hopefully you guys have heard this story. I think it's fantastic. A local school kid came up with this word. There was a big campaign to try and get the word into the Oxford English Dictionary. And the word Levy Drome or Levi Drome, I'm going to go with Levy Drome. I think it sounds slightly better, even though I'm sure the kid's name was Levi. I don't know. If you know the correct answer, hit me up in the comments. I don't know how to pronounce it. But I do know what it is. It's like a palindrome, but it's a very special palindrome. It's like a palindrome where instead of the word being the same backwards as forward, or, the number or whatever, palindromes can be, madam, I'm Adam, which if you're female, made a lot of sense. But if you're not, that doesn't make any sense. But it is a palindrome. Madam, I'm Adam. Ignore the apostrophe and the spaces. But a levidrome is a word where instead of being the same backwards and forwards, if you reverse it, actually is a different word. It's still a word, but it's a different word, like stop and pots. And apparently that's how Levi came up with that, because he looked at a stop sign, read it backwards, and realised it was also a word. So Phillips, beautiful company as they are, really wanted to support this idea of having the word into the dictionary. The dictionary came back and said, yeah, it's great, it's a cool word, love the story, but we can't add words until they are officially in common uses, right? It has to be used to be a word. So Phillips took it upon themselves to create a beer called the Levidrome. And that is a beautiful thing, a beautiful community support thing that they did there to help this kid. But also, it speaks to their creativity, because not only did they create a beer called the Levidrome, they even made it a regal lager, which of course, regal and lager are Levidromes of each other, which is absolutely brilliant. These guys know how to market. They, of course, went into distilling not too long ago. I believe their first product on the shelves was the Stump Gin in 2015. They got an old, I think a 1920s old English still. What do they call it? God, it's been a couple of years since I did that tour. I think they called it like Old George or something, because it's like St. George, the penny saint of England. But really, really cool old retro still. And they have that in tandem with a new modern, I don't know if it's brand new or if it's secondhand still, but they've got a German Holstein style still. And yeah, they're making really cool products. They've got a whiskey now, which I'll be reviewing in a future video. But they also, last year, to very little fanfare, released a new gin. And that's what I'm going to be trying first. So, This is the fermentorium, which is sorry, I've been referring to this as Phillips. I shouldn't be. I should be referring to them as the fermentorium, because of course that is the brand that they release their spirits under. Sorry, Phillips. I'll get on board with the branding. But this is Discovery Street, which I have to come out of the closet a little bit here on the Phillips gins, on the fermentorium gins. Sorry, Stump, whilst I will admit has many fans, and I'm not saying in any way that it is a bad product. I think it's a great product that has many fans. I'm not a personal fan of. So I was over the moon when I found that they brought out a new gin that I can wholeheartedly recommend to customers as something that I personally recommend. So weirdly, even though this came out in 2019, it still hasn't actually appeared on their website. I don't know if they've just forgotten that they released a new gin or what, but there's very little information out there on this. So the only information we can really get is what's on the label. So, Fermentorium Discovery Gin, 43% alcohol by volume, 750ml, dry citrus gin, small batch magic. I like that, small batch magic. Dry citrus gin, so I'm expecting sort of a London dry style, right? On the back label, our Discovery Street Citrus Gin features locally grown barley that is malted, fermented, and craft distilled in our 1923 solid copper Scottish still. Oh, I'm sorry. Not an English still, a Scottish still. My apologies. Subtle spices of black pepper and coriander are balanced with brighter citrus notes of grapefruit and lemon peel. Juniper berries, grain of paradise, and What's grains of paradise? No idea what that is. Cassia bark, cool. Work to impart a crisp and dry finish that create the perfect canvas for your next craft cocktail masterpiece. Yeah, big fan of this guy. So, let's crack them open. I have... You used to see me singing with Glencans. I do have other glassware. Look, I know, right? I'm surprised as well. I had to go digging to find these in the cupboard. But I have the glassware. I even have a jigger. Right. Nice. So this is exciting as well, of course, because not only is it a style of gin that I can thoroughly get on board with personally, not only is it a local product, but it's using barley that they malted in their own maltings, because not only is Phillips a brewery and a distillery and a soda works, it's also a malting house. Because why not just do everything? Why? Yeah, God bless them. So, let's give myself a nice big pour of this, and by the way, I'm not going to be drinking all of these on camera. I'll be spreading them out throughout the rest of the evening. I'm sure my girlfriend Kristen will probably help me out with them as well. Just in case you're worried that, I might not make it to the next video because my liver might pack in. I do intend to be relatively responsible with this. So, Phillips Fermentorium Discovery Street. See, this is where I'm at a lost cause, because I know that gin is just a whole different ballgame to whiskey. So I'm going to be approaching this as if it were a whiskey. So sorry to any gin masters out there who are going, why are you smelling it? You're not supposed to smell gin. I don't know if you are or not. I'm assuming you are. If you're not, then, well, that's just silly because it smells great. Why wouldn't you smell it? But with all of those flavors, it's unlike whiskey where all of the flavors that you're pulling out, this tastes like vanilla with burnt matchsticks and the bottom of a 1920s rubber boot. Those flavors aren't actually in the whiskey. These, almost all of the flavors that I'm going to be getting, especially on the nose, I think, are actual ingredients. They're actually been steeped into the spirit, right? So it's a very different ballgame to whiskey. It really is. Definitely the lemon peel, definitely the coriander as well, which is something I absolutely love. I love coriander. I think it's a fantastic herb. It's got this beautiful spirit base. And I'm sure it's a very similar spirit base to the stump, but the stump is just so, to me, overly herbaceous and overly forest floor that you can't really taste the spirit. This is so beautifully balanced and light and delicate that you can actually taste the malted barley spirit underneath it, which is just, it's gorgeous. It really is. They've done a really, really good job with this. I'm a fan. I know that, the big boys, the big players in the gin world all use neutral grain spirit, and it's the idea that the spirit should not really be flavoured at all. I like spirits, right? That's why I like whiskey. I like those flavours. So to me, I absolutely love all these craft gins that are coming out where you can still get the flavours of the spirit underneath all of the botanicals as well. I think it personally adds an extra layer to it. That's great. It's very refreshing. I think I'm not much of a mixologist, but I think this would be a fantastic base for a martini. But I'm not a mixologist, but I am an Englishman. And if there's one thing that Englishmen very stereotypically enjoy, it is a gin and tonic. And thankfully, as I mentioned before, Phillips is also a soda works. They make sodas, including Sparkmouth Tonic. So, I've got the tonic. Over here, where I would normally have a jug of water to be pipetting into my whiskies, I don't. I have ice. Beautiful. Because although I like my beer at room temperature and I like my whiskey at room temperature, I like my gin and tonics nice and chilled. So this is straight from the fridge. I've got an ice cube here, and I have to decide cucumber or lemon. Cucumber or lemon. Well, I think this has already got a nice citric hit, so I'm going to add the cucumber to this one. I think that's my garnish of choice for this guy. And let's see if it makes a damn good gin and tonic, because to me, that is the end purpose of a gin. I think a gin, its whole point in life is to go with tonic water. And I know, yes, cocktails exist, and I've had some absolutely fantastic gin cocktails, and I can stomach a martini if I'm forced, but I'd much rather have a G&T. Just saying. Don't know why I'm smelling it. Oh. And it's no surprise because I've had several of these now, but damn if these two aren't made together to go perfectly well together. Like, Phillips knew what they were doing. I almost think that they realised they make a really good tonic water, and they realised that the stump doesn't actually work that well with their tonic water, and I think that's why they made Discovery Street, so that they had a gin that actually worked with their tonic water. That is my own theory. I might be way off the mark there. Other people, tell me in the comments if you like stump gin with tonic water, if that's a thing for you. And yeah, let me know, because yeah, I mean, as I said, everyone's tastes are completely different, and just because I absolutely adore the Discovery Street and I'm not really a fan of the stump, doesn't mean that everyone's going to be that way. If you want something that is like licking a forest floor, stump is right there for you, and I encourage you to drink it. I think it's a great product. I just don't think it's a great product personally for me. But yeah, if you are a fan of it, let us know in the comments if you think it goes well with the Sparkmouth Tonic. Yeah, Slancher, I think this is a damn good G&T. As local as you can get. I can literally, I mean, I live in James Bay, so I'm 15-20 minute walk from the Strath as well. This is probably a half-hour walk from where I live, so to be able to have something which both the tonic and the gin were made within walking distance, for me, that's really special. I've always been a fan of supporting local products, and part of it is probably because I've lived in several different countries and several different cities and towns all around the world, and so I have a penchant for discovering new things and discovering more interesting, very specifically local things. So I really enjoy it when I get to try something that pretty much everyone I grew up with has never had. Like I've had a couple of friends from back home in the UK or from Australia that have visited, and I've introduced them to some of the local drinks. But probably in the entire history of my high school, I would say half a dozen people that have ever been to my high school have ever tried a Phillips product. Never mind this specific one. I'm probably the first person from the town I grew up in to have ever tried Discovery Street. And I like that. To me, that is really cool. And that's one of the reasons I love traveling. One of the reasons I ended up here, I guess. So yeah. That being said, for those of you who did grow up here in Victoria or on Vancouver Island or, locally in general, just because everyone has had a Phillips product doesn't mean that Phillips, fermentorium, isn't still cool and exciting. It is. It's cool and exciting because you are part of its story. Like, it couldn't be here without the community, and you're part of that community. So embrace that. It's also freaking delicious. And honestly, cucumber, good choice. Very much recommend if you're drinking one of these at home along with me. Because I think for the first time, I might change my mind, so you might be looking at the video going, no, you didn't. What are you talking about? But I'm planning to actually release what I'm drinking ahead of time so that if any of you have one of these at home, you can drink along with it. So yeah, for those of you who are drinking along with me right now on the Discovery Street, I hope you're enjoying it. I think it's a damn fine gin. No, I'm definitely going to do that. I think that's a cool idea. I'm doing it. I don't care what you say. I'm doing it, damn it. All right, so getting slightly further away from the Strath now. We're now moving up into the Saanich Peninsula, into deVine territory. So, as much as the Strath as a whole has a fantastic, beautiful relationship with Phillips and Fermentorium, the liquor store specifically has an incredible relationship with deVine. We love those guys. We love everything that they do in terms of their spirits especially. deVine are a great local institution who are this beautiful balance of this sort of curious playfulness with quality, right? They make so many different crazy things, but they always seem to turn out really well. Like, completely off-the-wall different things that you wouldn't expect a local distillery to make. You name it, deVine have probably done it. Like, they started off as a vineyard, so of course they have wine. That makes sense. They try vermouth, right? How about a vodka made out of distilled strawberry juice? Yeah, why not, right? How about a Eastern European plum brandy called Slivovitz? Sure. Why on earth not? How about a brand new type of whiskey called the Ancient Grains, where they mature it for just over a year in an absolutely tiny cask, and it's made out of grains that grow locally and are the ancient precursor to wheat, like einkorn, emmer, spelt, and there's one more, coruscant. Something no one else has ever done in the world. Sure, of course deVine have done it. They do absolutely frickin' everything. And this next gin is not really a gin at all, but another thing that deVine have been very playful and tried their hand at, and that is original Dutch style Geneva, or Geneva, or what was it? I'm not going to name him because I don't want to embarrass the guy. We had someone work at the Strath a few years ago now. Great guy, love him. He swore blind that deVine was pronounced deVine, and he also pronounced this product as Geneva. So yeah, deVine Geneva. It's a beautiful product, original Dutch style gin. And again, I think the label actually probably can talk about it much better than I can. 45%, always a winner in my book. I like that extra bit of proof. Our recipe dates back from the early 1600s, when the Dutch East India fleet roamed the seas in search of exotic spices. Unlike our Vengeance, which is their regular, I say regular, it's still not particularly regular, it's made out of grapes. It's basically botanicalized grappa, to be fair. And our New Tom gin, which is like an old Tom, but new. Like I said, playful, they'll try anything. Our Geneva is distilled from malted barley, and then infused with more than 20 rare botanicals, from wormwood to mugwort, horehound to blessed thistle. Enjoy this Dutch courage, neat or an old school cocktail. And, of course, these guys are up in Sarnington. Nutters. Absolute nutters, and I love every minute of it. So we're actually, by pure chance, having two gin-ish spirits right now, both of which with a malted barley base, which is kind of cool. Good comparison between the two. Oh, I forgot my sugar. I'm just going to eyeball it. I think it was about... Bad Adam. All right. Oh, that's a tight fit. So, deVine Geneva. Much, much sweeter on the nose. Much, much sweeter. Got a licoricey thing going on. Yeah, very, very different botanicals. You can tell right off the bat to the Phillips Discovery Street. Whereas the Phillips Discovery Street is much more... I don't want to say safe, but much more... It's more flavours that you're going to be more familiar with, ones that you can particularly pick out, right? So, it's got, obviously, juniper, it's got lemon peel, grapefruit, coriander, black pepper. They're all things that you've probably had before. I personally don't think I've ever, had a salad with a big fistful of mugwort in it. I've certainly never had... What was it? Well... Horehound. I don't know what horehound is. It sounds great. And Blessed Thistle. I don't know. It sounds like Brian Blessed's podcast or something. I love the nose on this. This is one that I would absolutely normally drink neat. Just because I'm doing it with all of them, I will add some tonic water to it. But this is one that I enjoy sipping on as if it was a whiskey, basically. It's not... From memory, I'm going to try it again right now, but from memory, it's not as punch you in the face botanical as other local gin products. This is much more restrained and, I don't know, more like a whiskey experience in my mind. Actually, you know what it is? It's more like a really good quality, but very watered down absinthe. It's got those same kind of flavors. It's almost got like that chartreusey, bitter, herbal flavor to it. And of course that licorice that's had on the nose, very much there in the palate as well. I don't know if they add like actual anise. It's not listed, but... Yeah, this is one that I can just sip on for hours. It's, yeah, good personal favourite. All right, let's do it. Bartending skills. I'm going to go lemon this time. Put some ice in there. And of course, a little bit of spark mouth. This is a scientific experiment. We have to keep all of the variables the same, so it'll be spark mouth all the way. I'm not going to start changing all of the all of the tonics, although I am swapping between cucumber and lemon, so I guess I am changing variables. I never promised to be a scientist. Let's set things straight. Again, I'm smelling a G&T. I think it's because there's a camera on me and a microphone in my face. I feel like I should be smelling everything. It's a bloody G&T. Sit and drink it and enjoy it, you asshole. All right. Whilst I undoubtedly prefer the Geneva over the Discovery Street, again, really cool parallel between them, both being local malted barley products. This admittedly isn't a great G&T. It's a bit weird. Probably because Geneva was never really kind of known to be mixed with tonic, right? It's not a thing. So it's a bit bit weird. Tell you what though, could do with being a touch colder. Add a second iceberg in here. See if that helps anything along the way. I'll do the same to the original as well. May as well do a side by side. Yeah, definitely prefer the Discovery Street as a G&T. Definitely prefer the Geneva on its own. Yeah, for my money, this is one of the best G&Ts you can make out of a local gin. Although a couple of the ones later on never had as a G&T. I only ever had straight, so that may change by the end of this video. But I absolutely love the Discovery Street as a G&T. I think it's spot on. This, glad I did it. Weird experiment. Gotta be honest, if I could take the tonic water out of this and just drink it again as the Geneva, I would. Luckily, I have the rest of this bottle, so I might just drink a dram of Geneva in a Glencairn glass later on. Which, of course, I will thoroughly wash with steaming hot water before I put whiskey in it, because I don't want to leave any trace of the Geneva in there for the whiskey. Not that it wouldn't be nice, but it would just be a bit weird, and it would kind of affect the whiskey flavour. So this is, and that's something I've done before. I've had this Geneva in a Glencairn, and I think treating it like a whiskey right down to the glassware is spot on. Yeah, I'm going to stop. I keep taking more sips because I want to understand it, but it's just not as good. I'm going to, as much as I said, I'm not going to drink it all, and I seem to be doing a good job at ignoring my own advice there. Let's have some water. Stay hydrated. If I start going cross-eyed, then stick with me. For science, right? For science. Beautiful. All right. Thank you, Discovery Street. So, where are we heading next on our road trip of Vancouver Island? Well, we're doubling back on ourselves a little bit and heading out to the souk area for, of course, as I've promised again and again and again, we're going to head up Sheringham. And once again, thank you, Sheringham, for your hand sanitizer, keeping us frontline workers safe in our deliveries and store minding, so that we can keep everyone well lubricated in an alcoholic sense throughout this pandemic. So you might notice that the seal's not been cracked on this one. That's because, as much as I've tried this at on several different occasions at festivals, including the Strats, what we call it, the Island Beer and Spirits Festival back in February or March, February, for the last couple of years running. And I've tried it in store, and I've tried it at a couple of friends' houses as well. I've never owned a bottle of Kazuki. So I grabbed this one personally from the store this afternoon before making this video, so that I could review it here today. Because although I could have just gone with their standard, their seaside gin, I decided that I should go for the Kazuki, because it's just a little bit different. And I'm just realizing as I eye to my notes here, I got so lost in the interesting stories and flavors of the Geneva that I don't actually talk about deVine much. So I'm going to put this back over here for a second, rewind the tape a bit, and say deVine. I probably should have actually talked about the distillery. deVine, yes, they're up in Sarnetton. Yes, they do all of these interesting things, but I should also, of course, mention that they use the same kind of German-style still that Phillips installed. They gave theirs the name Brunhilde, which I love. I don't know why. In my head, I don't know if he ever actually said it out loud, but I always imagine it in the voice of Stephen Fry doing some kind of funny sketch with a German accent. Brunhilde. Great still. Great name for the still as well. But of course, their distillers, Kev. I don't know why. It's Ken and Kevin. And for some reason, I always want to call one of them Kev And I don't know if Kevin ever goes by Kev, but Ken certainly doesn't. Ken Winchester, Kevin Titcombe, fantastic pair of distillers I've got going up at deVine. Great pair of guys. They've been around as a company since I believe 2007 is when they started as a vineyard, family owned and still family owned with John and Catherine Windsor. They started distilling in 2015, so same year that Phillips released Stump, I believe. And yeah, they've just been doing a great job. They've been winning awards all over the show, especially for their whiskies. The two Strath exclusives that were entered into the Canadian Whiskey Awards this year in January came away with a silver and a gold. So yeah, it's one of the reasons we love you guys. So yeah, we're really excited to support deVine, and we'll always have a space on our shelf for deVine's products. We're a small store, so unfortunately we can't have everything that deVine make, because I think if we did, we would probably have a store just full of deVine products, because, I don't know, I lost count at 36, I think. I think they've made at least 36 different things already. But we'll always have deVine products in our store, because we're firm supporters and believers of their entire business. I think they're doing great things. Onto another company, of course, that is local, and another company which we are big supporters of. Let's fast forward back to where we were again. Sheringham! All right, so this is Sheringham's second gin release. This is the Kazuki. So whereas the Seaside Gin, which was released in 2015, again, 2015, great year for local gin, apparently. Friggin' everyone was releasing a gin in 2015. I believe that was the year I started working at the Strath as well, so I've always known these gins to exist. Apparently, if I'd started work just a couple of months earlier, because I started in January of 2015, I probably would have seen them all arrive. And yeah, well, I probably did see them all arrive, but I just assumed that they'd always been there. So yeah, Seaside Gin, of course, went on to international acclaim. They won the Best Contemporary Gin in the World at the World Gin Awards last year. Sheringham, started by the husband and wife team, Jason, and I don't know if it's Elaine or Elena. I always get that mixed up. I'm apparently terrible with names. I feel like every single video I've done so far, I've been asking people to help me pronounce their name, so sorry. But yes, Jason, I've met several times. He's often in the store. You know, you can tell it's I can tell a lot about the owner of a company by how much they get involved and how much they're. And Jason's not only the distiller, he would come into the Strath liquor store himself and lead the in-store tastings. He would stand there with an open bottle of gin and some tonic water and tell random passers-by all about his gin. He'd give people, samples of it, stood there in the store, and yeah, he wasn't like, and he still isn't. He's so down to earth, solid earth kind of guy. He's not let any of this success go to his head, seemingly. Although I've not seen him in a couple of months, so maybe he has now. So, nah, I'm sure he hasn't. Doesn't seem like the kind. But yeah, he's a big, not only supporter of his own product, but supporter of his own community as well. So Kazuki Gin is their follow-up, and let's read the bottle as well, because the bottles always have much more information than I often remember, because as I said, I believe in my first video, way back in video number 1, I always seem to forget to read the bottles. Like, especially with whiskies, I'll hit up the internet and I'll be like trying to track down specific information about a whiskey, and then someone will ask me the question and I'll be like, I couldn't find it in my research. And then someone else in the room will be like, oh, it says on the back of the bottle, it's, and yeah, I look like a freaking idiot. So I'm going to start reading the bottles a bit more. So Kazuki, it's even got a little pronunciation key here, Kazuki, which is Japanese. And I do remember this from actually my Japanese studies in high school. Kazuki means harmony or radiance. And I remember that because I did an entire oral presentation in Japanese on it has to be on a topic that was like personal to you. So I did an entire presentation on Freddie Mercury, and yeah, Freddie Mercury no koe wa etc. Anyway, Kazuki gin is something to behold with its unique flavours and polished, rounded edges. Soft citrus notes from yuzu and grapefruit, floral aspect from Japanese cherry blossom and green tea flowers, creamy texture with a delicate juniper and green tea finish, featuring Canada's only locally grown tea leaves. Oh, see? Learning new things from a label. Didn't know that. And flowers from West Home Tea Farm in the Cowichan Valley. That is cool. I'm going to have to hunt those down. I know we've got some tea fans in our club. So Yuri, if you're watching, I know you're a huge tea fan. Have you heard of West Home Tea? If you haven't, you should probably check them out. Yeah, and I know there's some more out there as well. Yeah. West Home Tea, cool, in the Cowichan Valley. Created with respect and admiration of both cultures by distiller Jason McIsaac. Cool. Very cool. Small batch, handmade spirits from South Vancouver Island made with BC ingredients and steadfast craftsmanship. Lovely. All right, I'm going to crack this baby open. It's done. I can't take it back for a refund now. It's officially mine. So, let's remember the jigger. Trying for responsible service, I have a tendency to overpour gins for some reason. Whiskies, I'm always pretty good. I won't give myself a huge pour of whiskey. Gin, especially when it's in these kind of glasses, and because it's a clear liquid, I just tend to give myself like a triple by accident every time. I smell it already from here. It's just... Japanese gin has become a bit of a cult thing these days. There's quite a few now available on the market. I think we've got 3 at the Strath, and there's more there's more available in BC that we don't carry. But don't worry, we carry the best ones. And they're a really interesting thing, and they've taken the same kind of sort of ideas about blending flavors that they do with their whiskey and applied it to a new medium, and with those really unique Japanese botanicals and flavors there as well. Like this has yuzu, which is Japanese fruit, but that green tea is something that traditional gin houses in Europe would have never imagined until Japan started playing with it, adding green tea. There are now European gin houses that do. We have Drumshambo, which is an Irish gin, which uses the gunpowder green tea as an ingredient in the Irish gin now as well. So Japanese gin has really influenced the entire gin world, as far out as the UK, and of course as far out here with Kazuki in BC. And it just adds an interesting subset of flavors. Like that's the wonderful thing about gin, as well as being this this sort of on the nose complexity where you can actually add the ingredients. Like I said, unlike whiskey where you're finding things that aren't really there, the ghosts of flavors. These are real flavors that you're getting from real ingredients, and different gins tell a story of where they're from quite often. But it doesn't have to tell a story of where they're from. It can also tell a story of where you've been. And in this case, I'm assuming, I don't actually know this, I'm assuming Jason spent some time in Japan. If not, he's certainly spent a lot of time in Japanese restaurants. And he's really got to know and understood the culture of flavor that comes from Japanese ingredients, and taken a snapshot of that and placed it into this gin. Oh, it's got a big, round, orangey citrus note on the nose. It's just creamy orange, beautiful. It's got this bittersweet floral. It starts off with this, probably from the tea, this like bitter tannic edge that then softens out into this beautiful, sweet, syrupy note that then just gently wafts into a floral, probably from the blossom. Yeah, it's a piece of art, and as much as the Seaside Gin has got international acclaim, I'm sure this has probably won some awards because good Lord, there's more awards than you can keep track of these days. But I think this is probably going to get as internationally renowned as the Seaside Gin as well. I think these guys really know how to use flavors. I mean, Jason was a chef, I believe, before he started Sheringham. So he really understands flavors and how to tell a story with those flavors, more importantly. It's not just about being able to tell the story of where you are, but where you've been and where you'd like to go as well. So yeah, top stuff. Good work on the Kazuki. This is going to go pride of place with my gin collection. I'm happy to have a bottle. Although I'm also very happy that you have it in half-size bottles, so I didn't have to buy another full one, because I have a lot of gin right now, and I'm not going to be able to drink it all anytime soon. So I'm always grateful for people who create half-size bottles of anything, because it makes being able to collect them a lot easier. So yeah, thank you for producing the Kazuki Gin. Thank you for bringing this to our palates, to our stores, to our shelves. It's spot on. Oh, I almost just got carried away and started trying to move on to the next one. I haven't even tried it with tonic yet. I have never had this with tonic. This is one of the ones I was mentioning before. It's going to be a new try for me. So, as I said, Discovery Street for me is currently my favourite local gin to go with tonic. Thinking cucumber again. This, let's see how it fares. Luckily, yep, I knew I was going to run a little short. Don't worry, I've got backups. I think I poured a little too much in there. I'm gonna be very naughty. It's okay. I'm in a private residence. I'm allowed to free pour. It's okay. There we go. Let's tip the balance a little bit more in the gin's favour. Oh, I'm gonna need some painkillers in the morning. All right. It's good. Very good, actually. It's a very different experience to the Discovery. Which is almost gone now, as you can see. I really do like it. I'm not just saying it. I'm going to make sure I save a little bit of that so I can at least compare with the other three. But I might have to make myself another Discovery and tonic, to be honest, so I can compare with the last three. But yeah, this is good. Very, very different. Hard to say which one I prefer off the bat. I need to get to know the Kazuki with tonic water a little bit more, I think. But very, very good. Very good. It definitely works. Unlike the Eneva, which I prefer without the tonic, this definitely works with tonic. Probably, I would guess, would possibly work slightly better with soda in like a mizuwari, which is how Japanese people like to drink their whiskey, like in a tall boy, lots of ice, lots of soda, and a big double shot of the spirit at the bottom. I think this would work great as an alternative mizuwari as well. Yeah, no, that is delightful. No regrets. All right. Okay, let's shuffle these up along the table a little bit and see how many I can fit on here. Because I'm doing 6 today, and that is going to be fun. So we are going now across the Malahat. We're taking the dangerous road over the mountains, and we're settling down into the vast unknowns of Duncan. That's right, Stillhead time, and this is Stillhead's Wild Blackberry Gin, something that I've included in this tasting, despite technically not being a gin. It's a gin liqueur, simply because it is so delicious. If you like blackberries. If you don't like blackberries, avoid this like the plague, because this sure brings the blackberry to the table. So Stillhead, Brennan and Erica Colbank, another husband and wife team just like Jason and Elaine, they started this in 2017. So this is the newest of the distilleries that we are featuring in this video. So 2017, they started this up. They take a step further with the whole local environment thing. They're very eco-aware. They donate to charities that help with the natural habitats and keep the whole area clean and healthy. I know that I know that Brennan actually enjoys spending a lot of time on lakes and rivers and the ocean. He's very much a fan of the open water, I believe, in a fishing sense, hence the Stillhead or the steelhead trout. That's kind of cool. Nice weaving of like other passions into the branding. I love it when distilleries do that. Again, using local natural ingredients, and in this case, local natural blackberries. So let's see what the bottle has to tell us this time. Well, on this side, it just tells us that it's heedfully crafted. Get it? Good. Heed is like Scots for head, and it's Stillhead. Heedfully crafted in the Cowichan Valley. Tours and tastings and bottle sales at this address, which is, in case you're happen to be in Duncan, Unit 105 at 5301 Chester Road, Duncan. Please recycle. Let's see if this guy's got any... There we go. Our family-owned and operated craft distillery is operated on Vancouver Island. Located on Vancouver Island, where we ferment and distill batch spirits by hand, using only fruits and grains grown in British Columbia, Canada. Stillhead Wild Blackberry Gin Liqueur harks back to the traditional seasonal gin liqueurs of the English countryside, using local picked wild Cowichan blackberries and Canadian honey. Not a flavoured gin and not overly sweet, this wild blackberry gin liqueur is your versatile cocktail mixer, a bramble in a bottle. And yeah, I mean, I love blackberries. And I think part of that is growing up in England where there's wild blackberries pretty much everywhere. I love going for walks in the woods on a Sunday afternoon and picking wild blackberries straight off the brambles. And this reminds me of that. It's got that big, dark, rich blackberry flavour. But it's still very much a gin underneath it. It's not. They also make a blackberry vodka, and a lot of people well, they're basically going to be the same, surely. No. Good Lord, no. The blackberry vodka and the blackberry gin are completely different products. I mean, as much as this tastes an awful lot like blackberries, it has so many other botanicals and things holding it up as well. It's a very different product to the blackberry gin, and in my personal opinion, a much better product. No offense to those of you who like the blackberry vodka more, but this is my cup of tea or glass of gin, I guess. And it makes a very, very pretty gin and tonic, I'm sure. Again, not really a gin and tonic because it's a gin liqueur and tonic, but it is one I've tried before, and it is delicious, although definitely not like any gin and tonic you would have ever had. All right. Let's give it a shot. Beautiful, rich, dark purple, red colours. I am going to have to rinse this. Actually, perfect. I'll rinse it with the tonic water when I get to that step. Aha, thinking ahead. Quite quiet on the nose, actually. It doesn't smell particularly potent. Which I know that the flavour is quite something. But yeah, interesting to note that there's not an awful lot going on the nose there. And there it is. They're right. Liqueur doesn't quite seem like the right word because it's not overly sweet. You can taste that the sweetness is coming from fruit and honey, though. It's not an artificial sugary sweetness by any stretch of the imagination. It tastes more like a pre-made cocktail. Like if someone had told me, if I was drinking this in a bar, I wouldn't guess that it came straight from a bottle. I would guess that someone just mixed this for me because it's well balanced, but it's not without some edges to it. It tastes real. It tastes human-made. It doesn't taste like it's been perfected by a machine. It's got a little bit of a natural roughness to it. little dirty. But it's beautiful blackcurrant. It reminds me a lot of those blackcurrant cough drops. That might just be the mix of, you know, alcohol and blackcurrant does that. But yeah, you can still taste those botanicals underneath. Yeah, this is a really cool product. 36% ABV as well, so, you know, it's not 23 or something. It's still packs, theoretically, a bit of an alcohol punch, although it really doesn't taste punchy at all. Spot on. Gorgeous. All right. Let's make it a G&C. Or kind of a G&C. Ooh. Yeah, lemon. Lemon and blackberry, a great combination of flavours. Let's get a little squeeze, get some extra lemon in there. And yeah, tonic. Here we go. Yeah. Let's give this a quick rinse. That should help get some of the sweetness and the sugars from sticking to the jigger there. Look at that. It's just beautiful looking, isn't it? Like, that is, yeah, that I would be very happy if I was served this in a bar. That looks absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful, like, rosé pink hue. And yeah, it tastes like a blackberry gin and tonic. It tastes remarkably familiar. It tastes remarkably gin and tonic-esque, but it tastes like a gin and tonic where a bartender has gone and muddled some fresh blackberries into it. That's really, really all that this tastes like. All that happens to this. If you've tried, and if you're a fan of Stillheads, I think they call it the Prime 23, the regular gin. Very, very, very good gin as well. Yeah, imagine that with some blackberries in it. Some wild picked local Cowichan blackberries. That's essentially what we're dealing with here, but you don't have to go to all the trouble of going to the Cowichan and picking blackberries. They've done it for you. And they've also made sure that they won't go bad by putting it into this beautiful alcoholic time capsule, so you can have blackberries all year round. Yeah. So as I said, I've had this before. Big fan of it. And although, yeah, I'm still going to go on record to say that this is my favourite local G&C, that's mostly because I don't think of this as a G&C. Again, this tastes like a cheap hack, a trick, a DIY cocktail. This tastes, yes, like a G&C, but like a G&C that's got that little bit extra special something to it. So if I'm just wanting a straight up gin and tonic on a hot summer's day, not that I've had the Discovery Street on a summer's day yet, because I didn't discover it until, you know, late fall last year, and we've not had summer yet, so I'm sure it goes great on a hot summer's day, but that's generally when I like a good G&C. If I'm wanting just a straight up G&C, definitely this is the way to go. This, however, if you want something a little bit special, if you got some friends over, you're having a bit of a party, this is damn good too. All right. Let's keep going north. Ooh, that's a lot of gin. So, next on our road trip, we are going to somewhere that I have to apologize to, because I've always thought of Nanaimo as this weird, like, hole of a place. Like, that sounds worse than I meant. Like, Nanaimo to me is just that place up island where I've been a few times. It's kind of industrial, not really much going on. You can get a ferry from there to get to some nicer places. And it's, for me, just that place that you try your best to not stop at. You just drive through. If you're desperate, you can go to the Costco. And that's Nanaimo. apparently Nanaimo has some really good things going for it. Of course, one of the good things going for it is the Grand Hotel Nanaimo, where they have the Wheat Tipple Festival every year, which is actually, funnily enough, where I got these beautiful bowls from. Kristen picked them up at the silent auction at this year's Wee Tipple, just before the whole outbreak took grasp of British Columbia. Actually, on my birthday, on March the 6th. An easy date for me to remember. We went to the Wee Tipple. Fantastic festival, as it always is. So thank you to everyone who was involved in putting the Wee Tipple on again this year. I miss those days. I miss being able to sit in a room with other people. You don't appreciate it until it's gone. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful festival. And I've since discovered there are many great things about Nanaimo. Actually, weird to mention, one of my all-time favourite restaurants, actually, that I've only been to twice, and I can already say is my favourite Japanese restaurant on the planet. I have literally never had Japanese food as good as Nori in Nanaimo. So anyone watching this in Nanaimo or going to Nanaimo, do yourself a favour. If you like Japanese food, go to Nori. Holy crap, simply outstanding. Great service, great food. I should go to them and suggest maybe doing some Japanese whiskey stuff there. I don't think they have any whiskey on the menu, which is slightly upsetting, but I will let it pass because the food is that damn good. If you like Japanese food, do yourself a favour, go to Nori. Absolutely incredible. The chef, the owner, I think it's the owner, I'm pretty sure it's the owner, will fist bump you on the way out. That's how good the place is. The chef will give you a fist bump. Anyway, there are other beautiful things to come out of Nanaimo, including Arbutus. Arbutus are awesome. Much like Stillhead, we've had them every year. I've been involved with the Island Beer and Spirits Festival. I always make an effort to reach out to both Arbutus and Stillhead from up Island and try and get them down to Victoria. And we've been successful pretty much every year. I think there's been, I can't remember if Arbutus was here last year. They were definitely here that year before. Or this year. They were definitely here last year. Stillhead, they're a staple. Absolutely fantastic products coming out of Arbutus. Again, 2015, same as Sheringham, same as Phillips, and the same as deVine. 2015 is a good year for local gins. Arbutus started in 2015, and Michael, what's his last name? Michael Pizzatelli? Something Italian sounding. I'm going to say Pizzatelli. Yeah. Anyway, Michael went to Heriot-Watt University, which automatically puts him in my good books because I also went to Heriot-Watt University. Unfortunately, despite Heriot-Watt University being internationally renowned for its brewing and distilling program, I studied mathematics, which, in hindsight, was dumb. I should have studied distilling. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have the prerequisite chemistry background, so I couldn't. But damn, that would have been much better. Michael did study brewing and distilling at Heriot-Watt. And again, they have the German style still set up. They started out with two products, I believe, the Coven vodka and the Empiric gin. Neither of which we've really carried much at the Strath for some reason. We didn't, we can't carry everything. We try, god damn it, we try, especially with local products. But again, we're not that big. We're a small store. We carry as much as we can. But one thing that I knew them first and foremost for, I knew them as the Baba Yaga guys. Baba Yaga is their absinthe, which is something we've always carried. One of the only local absinthes, and it is absinthe. It is those. Every time I've tried Baba Yaga again, I am instantly transported back to this crazy bar in Bruges where 90% of my absinthe experience comes from. There is a bar in Bruges, in Belgium, where I spend most of my summers growing up. A bar, I can't remember the name of it, but it's on Long Street in Bruges. Fantastic bar, quirky as all hell. They had some great creative ideas. One of my favorite things is they have a wall which is one of those old, I think it used to be a post office. It's got one of those old lockbox mail slot walls, right? And all of their regulars, they have this thing where every regular comes in and once a week, a regular has to come in and put, I think it's €5 or maybe €2 or something. €2 makes more sense. Into their own mail slot. They've each got a number. They don't have a key for it. They just have a number and they can put things into it. So they have to go every single week. At the end of every week, the owner goes in and records what's in there, takes all the money out. And then on New Year's Eve, they have a massive party where you get all of your money back that you've put. You're basically saving up for New Year's Eve, putting a little bit away to have a huge party on New Year's Eve. And if you have managed every single week to put your, whatever it is, €1, €2, €5, I can't remember, into your lockbox, the owners double it for you. So you can have a massive party on New Year's Eve. So yeah, blow €200 on New Year's Eve at the place, which is great because, the owners are going to just, put that back in their own tills, right? Fantastic idea, and something that I've always wanted to do at pretty much every bar I've stepped foot in. I think Big Bad John should do that. I think that would be absolutely brilliant to do that at Big Bad John's. Also, the last time I went there, I found out that the owners, the guys that started the bar a few decades ago, actually passed on a few years before I was there. This is like a decade ago now, so everything's changed, I'm sure. But when I was a semi-regular there, I'd be there every day for a month, once a year. Technically, who I thought was the owner wasn't the owner at all, because legally, the owner was the Dalmatian dog who was left the bar in its will, and the bar manager is now was now, I'm sure the dog's long gone, unfortunately, was the dog's owner, and by default became the owner of the bar because the bar was left to the dog and the dog was left to the manager. I also managed to somehow join a biker gang in that bar. Cool bar, a lot of absinthe, and that is where I don't know where I'm going with this story. Absinthe. I had a lot of absinthe in that bar. That is where I discovered absinthe, and Baba Yaga takes me back to that bar every single time. I've had a few gins. I'm sorry for the ramble. Anyway, Arbutus make on top of the Empiric and the Coven and the Baba Yaga, they now make a whole series of small batch releases. And I've had 3 or 4 of these now, and I've loved every single one of them. They're blue gin. I will shamelessly, anytime someone comes in to our store and asks for the, oh God, what's it even called? The Empress. The Empress Blue Gin. Oh my God, so many people ask for the Empress. I always point out, hey, Arbutus has a blue gin too. It does exactly the same quirky color change blue gin thing, but it's completely, locally sourced, environmentally friendly, made by a husband and wife team in Nanaimo, and you should buy this instead. And I sell a lot of it that way. But just as much as they have a fantastic blue gin, they have a fantastic coniferous aged gin, the Forest Dweller, as well, which in my mind is what I wanted Stump to be. So as much as I think Stump is a little over the top, these are the flavours that I expected in Stump, but a little bit more delicately presented. This for me is those same spruce tip, pine, herbal botanicals, but I don't know if it's maybe the age that has helped sort of shave off those rough edges, make it a little bit less like licking a forest floor and a little bit more like having a picnic in a forest. But yeah, for me, this is a superior product. But again, personal taste. Nothing against the Stump Gin. I think this is better. But yeah, the whole range is great. Like, they have a birch liqueur as well, and it's hard to judge because I think it's freaking delicious. I might just really like birch liqueurs. It's the only one I've ever had. I don't know if other people make a birch liqueur, but it's very, very good if you like that kind of thing. I also just learned that they have an Amaro, and I love Amaros, so hopefully I can persuade Megan to bring Arbutus' Amaro into the store as well, so I can buy a bottle. But yeah, love these guys, love this distillery. Let's try the Forest Dweller again. This is one I had for the first time, actually. Shout out to a local partner at the Victoria Film Festival's Feast Festival in the summer. We did a gin tasting in the theatre across the road, and this was featured. And that was the first time I had the Forest Dweller. So thank you to Feast Film and Food for introducing me by accident to a new favourite gin. Lovely. Another tight fit. They like to make sure you don't spill gins. They've got a nice... Actually, I'll put this front and centre for a little while. There you go. Yeah. Exactly like I said. All of those big West Coast forest flavours, the spruce tips, the pine needles, just more mellow, more like the name suggests. This is not just someone going into a forest and foraging stuff. This is a forest dweller. This is a hermit. This is someone who knows the forest and knows it well and knows how to treat the forest and get the best out of it. Oh. It's always slightly dangerous putting pine and alcohol together because it's so easy to accidentally reach pine sol. This is not pine sol. The pine notes are not artificial, they are natural, they're not overly strong, they're nice, they're delicate, they're soft. It's also not just like the pine, it's not the needles, it's almost the pine wood as well. There's like a resiny wood thing going on. The oak, I think, has mostly come across as softening the other flavors. I'm not getting much of like it's not like an Old Tom. I'm not getting much of a barrel age thing going on here. I'm not getting much of vanillins or anything from the oak, although I haven't really looked. Yeah, I think the resting in oak, aside from the color, which is definitely added, I think what the resting in oak has done has basically just give the flavors more time to mellow and unify and meld themselves into a cohesive unit. It's a beautiful thing, this gin. It really is. What's the ABV? It's 40%. It doesn't taste 40%. It tastes freaking 25. It is... I could drink a pint of this. That might be the fifth gin in speaking, but I feel like I could just down this bottle right now. That would make an interesting episode. Cool. Alright. Let's G&T this bad boy. Again, like the neighbour, this is a gin I generally like to drink neat, but I have had as a G&T before, and I didn't dislike it then, and I'm probably not going to dislike it now. Yeah, cucumber's the right choice. Good work, Adam. Alright, I'm doing it. I'm cracking a third. Perfect size, actually. Shout out to Sparkmouth, to Phillips. Perfect size cans. These little tiny canettes. What size is this? Like 237 mil. I don't know how you settled on 237 mil. I'm assuming just the size equipment you could get. But perfect size for a gin and tonic can, I think. I've never had one go flat on me. I've always managed to finish it without going, oh, it's gone flat and having to throw it out. So it's yeah, good size tonic can. Yeah, that's good. It feels sacrilegious almost, having something which you have to assume that the Forest Dweller was inspired at least somewhat by Stump. For me, the similarities are just too much there. It feels slightly sacrilegious having something inspired by Stump with a tonic water that was made by the people that make Stump. But this works. Especially with cucumber. Cucumber was definitely the good choice here. This is good. I'll have to go back to the Phillips. Oh. Alright, I'm doing it. I'm going back in. I've got to... This is my base, right? This is my tester. I can't run out of the tester, otherwise I can't compare the other things properly. Let's go back in. Make another G&C with the Discovery. The things I do for you guys. The things I do for science. Ooh. Throw another cucumber in there. Keep it nice and fresh. Keep it moving. All right, gin 7. Why not? There we go. And top. Oh, which one's the one I'm going with? There we go. Okay, I've got my baseline again. Oh, I touched my mouth. Sheringham, thank you for the hand sanitizer. I know I'm safe, I'm at home, but this is a good thing to try and get used to doing so that I'm in the habit of doing it when I'm out and about and making deliveries and in the store as well. So thank you, Sheringham. It's just so gluggable. It is a gluggable G&C, that one. This, a little more going on. I mean, you could glug it. Not quite as refreshing. A little bit more of a thinking man's G&C. This is a Sunday afternoon G&C, out on the deck in the sun. This is a Thursday at 8 p.m. G&C. This is, you can't go crazy. You've got to go to work tomorrow, but it's getting towards the end of the week. The weather's nice, and you want to just sit outside and have a breather and drink something that just, starts your brain ticking over a bit. You're not there to just straight up relax. You need to keep your wits about you a little bit, but you still want something tasty. Yeah. Great work, Arbutus. Fantastic stuff. Okay. I've almost made it. God knows how long this video has been going. I feel like it's been 2 hours. Unruly Gin. Unruly Gin is the last one, and Unruly Gin comes to us all the way up in Courtney. And it is made by Wayward Distillery. Wayward are actually, out of all of these 6, the oldest. These guys are the trendsetters. They started making this gin in 2014. And what makes this gin particularly interesting is it's all in their tagline. These guys are fundamentally against the grain. And that's a wonderful play on words, because they're not just against the grain in the sense that they go against what other people are doing, but they are a company that doesn't use grains. Their entire distillation is based on 3 ingredients. Their alcohol, obviously they use botanicals to get the gin, but their alcohol is made from 3 things: water, yeast, honey. 100% BC honey in its rawest, most unruly form, so say off the back of the bottle. Naturally gluten-free, which I have to acknowledge. I love Unruly. I love that they are, against the grain. I love what they're doing. Gluten-free. Yes, your ingredients are 100% gluten-free. As soon as you distill anything, the gluten goes. Like, you could make a 100% wheat vodka, and as long as you distill it properly, there is no gluten left in that vodka. If there is gluten in that vodka, You don't have vodka. You've got some kind of wheat porridge. I really, I don't know, the whole gluten-free bandwagon thing, I get it. For some people, it can be a healthy option. For celiacs, it's an especially healthy option. But I don't know. Stop. I don't like marketing things as naturally gluten-free when they're... It's like saying this banana is gluten-free. All bananas are gluten-free, you fucking idiot. Okay, so anyway, aside from that, naturally gluten-free, Unruly Gin balances fragrant juniper with light citrus, delicate florals, and elusive spice notes to create a smooth and distinctive spirit. We are fundamentally against the grain. So, on that quick rant, I should add an asterisk. I am not a chemist. I am just going by other people with chemistry degrees. What they have told me. If you also have a chemistry degree or, some kind of master's or doctorate and can tell me, actually, Adam, you are wrong. It is very dangerous for people who are celiac to have anything that was made with wheat, even if it's been distilled 5 times. Please let me know in the comments, because that's actually very useful information for someone that works in a liquor store. But as far as I'm aware, it's fine. Anyway, Unruly Gin. For me, the big thing with this is, yes, it's made with honey. That's not a gimmick. That is something cool that actually has an effect on the spirit. What I find with Unruly, with their vodka and their gin, is whereas I was expecting to get somewhat of a sweetness from the honey distillate, the sweetness is gone. Of course, the sugars get converted into alcohol. What you have instead, and this is possibly by chance, this is possibly all in my head, but I feel like you're left with a viscosity that you don't normally get. And yeah, no, honey is viscous, so maybe I'm thinking about honey and I'm thinking viscous thoughts, and those viscous thoughts are translating into viscous tastes that aren't really there. But to me, it just feels thicker. There's a bit more of an an enveloping mouthfeel to Unruly's products, which I absolutely love. So, the final glass, the final gin. Good Lord, I'm almost there. Let's take a trip to Courtney. Alright. There's a lot of gin on this table. I'm going to have to lean over here so you can even see me now. Now I've just said all of that about how Unruly Gin, for me, is not as sweet. It actually smells kind of sweet. I've never noticed that before. Maybe it's just after having 5 other gins, but it smells sweeter than actually the blackberry gin, which is surprising because that actually has honey in it. Huh. Still definitely with that thick, luxurious mouthfeel. One thing I also love about Unruly Gin is how pared back the botanicals are. They let the spirit speak. And as I mentioned right on the get-go with the Discovery Street, yeah, I understand neutral grain spirit is the key thing for most of the world's leading gins, like all of the big bestsellers, Gordon's, Tanqueray, all of that. It's flavor neutral grain spirit, and that's fine. Like, that's a style. People love it. Like I said, I love being able to taste the underlying spirit, and Unruly, more than anything else on the table right now, has that. Like, they don't overly botanicalize these. I believe, if I remember correctly, Unruly actually uses... they evaporate the botanicals into the spirit rather than steeping, so you get much more of those like higher, lighter floral flavors and less of the muddy ones. But yeah, they do a great job at making sure the botanicals are present but not overpowering. I should also mention, just on Unruly and speaking about them in generalities, as good as their gin and vodka are, these guys are insanely good at making liqueurs. They have a Krupnik, which is absolutely delicious. It's like imagine a gourmet drambuie. That's how I try and describe Krupnik to people. It's stunning. They also make the depth charge, which is the best coffee liqueur I have ever had in my life. Just special. Just immensely special, those liqueurs. I mean, not that they're gin and vodka aren't, but those liqueurs are just spot on. Alright, last gin and tea of the evening. You can tell I've been talking for a while because my bowl of ice is now mostly a bowl of water. In fact, the ice cubes are so small, I'm going to add a third just to actually make it the same volume as two of the ones earlier on. Oh, and lemon or cucumber? Lemon. I've managed to completely empty 3 cans of tonic. That's worrying, actually. That's just worrying. That very good. Discovery Street might be having a run for its money here. I've had a Rooney gin in a G&T before. I don't remember it being this good. It's this good. Oh, but this is good too. This is a little creamier. It might just be the mouthfeel coming across. It's somehow, again, it might all be in my head, but somehow that viscosity has retained itself even through the addition of tonic water. And it's, I don't know, yeah, I mean, directly comparing the Discovery Street and the Unruly. This is, it's just so light and summery and easy. And this just feels a little bit more velvety, a little bit more nighttime, a little bit more adult. A little bit more rich mahogany and leather-bound books. This is a gin for people in their 20s or people who want to think that they're in their 20s. This is a gin for people who are in their 50s and okay with being in their 50s, I think. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I know that I like it and I'm in my 30s. That's kind of halfway between 20 and 50. Yeah. But I don't know. They're very different experiences, despite being the same pretty much basic ingredients. I guess that's the lesson I'm learning here. I've never had 6 gin and tonics in one night. I'm not sure I ever will again. I don't know. I probably will. I'll probably actually do this exact same video in a few weeks' time with international gins, because I have at least 6 of those as well. I probably got 6 gins from 6 different countries. That'll be a fun one. I'll probably do this again with that. But yeah, at the moment, I've never had 6 different gin and tonics in one sitting. I think the thing I'm really learning right now is, as much as I've always known how different gins can be, I've never really fully appreciated how different gin and tonics can be as well. Yeah, this has been a very, very interesting experience. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have, or at least partially as much as I have. I've been drinking gin. Hopefully you guys have as well. Let me know in the live chat and in the comments what gins you've been enjoying throughout this video. And if you've been sat there thinking, I wish I was enjoying gin. I don't have any gin. Oh, what am I to do? Well, don't worry, because we can help you out. Because if you are in Victoria, the Greater Victoria area, we can bring you gin. We can do that for you. In fact, you might have seen the announcements. We now deliver on Saturdays, so we can bring you a gin tomorrow. Order now. You can get a gin tomorrow. Beautiful. So yeah, we're now delivering every single day of the week to the inner Victoria areas. So that's pretty much anywhere up to the vast majority of Saanich over to Esquimalt. If you happen to be over in North Saanich or all the way out in the West Shore, we will still deliver to you, but we're delivering every other day in alternating days because, frankly, I didn't appreciate how long it takes to get from Sydney to Colwood. That's quite the drive. So we're going to do that alternating days from now on. Sorry if that affects or upsets you. Let us know. We could be maybe persuaded to go back, but you'd have to have a pretty strong argument for it. But yes, one thing that I've neglected to say throughout this entire video that I would normally say is the price of all of these gins. And, well, partially that's because they're all vaguely the same price, right? Gins, for a full-size bottle of local gin, they're all going to be between, I'm pretty sure all of these are between $40 and $65. So, they're all the same kind of price range. The half-size ones are obviously a little less because they're half the size, go figure. Every single one of these 6 gins is available right now on strathliquor.com. And we are, instead of having individual prices set for them, we are actually going to give you a promo code. A promo code that I have not decided what it's going to be, so I'm going to make that up in my head right now. It's going to be BC Gin 2020. BC Gin 2020. That is your promo code. It'll be, I'll put it in the show notes. So BCGIN 2020. That will be good from now until, we'll say 48 hours. So I'm going to say 8 p.m. on Sunday. And that will actually give you 10% off every local gin. So if you're thinking, yep, these 6 gins look great, but I really, really want some Stump, you can get 10% off Stump. We will allow it. If you're thinking, these 6 gins are great, but where's Shelter Point? Yeah, we will give you 10% off Shelter Point's gin as well. Just go straight to the website, put it in your basket, and then when you get to the checkout, put BCGIN 2020 as the promo code, and you will get 10% off local gins. And on Shelter Point, they have been a little conspicuous by their absence here, haven't they? So there's a reason for that. I don't want to be seen as being too biased. I obviously have a soft spot for Shelter Point, and I love those guys to death. And in the spirit this week of our little theme of keeping it local, actually, I should mention one of the reasons I was inspired to do this is we have added so much to our online store now. strathliquor.com now has an absolute shit ton of local products. I think it's 500. That doesn't sound right. Maybe it's 400. No, I think it's 500. I think it's 503 local products right now. That's BC made beers, wines, spirits, ciders, liqueurs. So if you're looking to continue to support local through this pandemic, head to strathliquor.com. We have probably the biggest selection of BC products that you can have delivered to your door next day. Yeah, help support local. We have to stick together in these times. And on that, Sunday's video as well. Sunday at 7:30, we are going to stick on that theme of supporting local. And if you thought 6 gins was an undertaking, I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I'm going to have every Shelter Point in my collection. I'm going to review, I'm going to sample, I'm going to taste, I'm going to talk about 11. I can't believe I've got 11. 11 different Shelter Point expressions. So come back, join me, 7:30 on Sunday. I'll be here in my kitchen, drinking out loud once again, back to whiskey with our regular scheduled programming. Actually, I should also mention on the gins, so yes, this is the Dram Association channel, and yes, the Dram Association is our whiskey club here at the Strath. We do also have a gin club. So if you're interested in trying more gins, when this is all over, we have gin tastings in store, just like we do with whiskies. And you can find out more at, oh God, what's our website? I think it's agincollective.com. I'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, Juniper is the name of our gin club, Juniper, a gin collective. So yeah, come check out that, join the gin club. You can get some fantastic deals on gins from near and far. We feature 2 every single month. Excuse me. I've got hiccups now. I've drunk so much gin, I've managed to give myself hiccups. On that note, I'm gonna toast you. I'm gonna cheers myself with a discovery and an unruly. I've discovered that I am quite unruly when I've had 7 different gins. Well, 6 different gins, but 7 total because I've had 2 discoveries. Good night. God bless. Slan Shavar. See you on Sunday.
Here's to whiskey kisses with the peachy taste of scent.